All right, welcome back to another WrightStew Podcast. I am Paul Stewart.
And I am Brian Wright, and Paulie is still in the back of the car. I'm not in speaker studio, but we're doing good. Super Bowl morning.
Backseat of my car like LL Cool J. It is a Super Bowl Sunday. The first one for us as a podcast, Brian. So that's exciting times.
Yeah, we have. Hey, we done pretty good, dude. I mean, when we first started this, I don't think there was any expectations of like people actually watching this. It was kind of one of those things where we were torn back and forth. Like, there's some guys that are doing this. Like, I mean, not to be arrogant, but it's like, dude, I can kind of be witty and funny, and Paul can be brains and funny and all that I'm not. And so I just like the hey, first Super Bowl, first of many.
There we go. So the Super Bowl, Brian, when you look at it, always the Roman numerals. Outside of Super Bowl 50, they went with the big 50, and they said that was more for the aesthetic, and also because the Roman numeral for 50 is the letter L. So the letter
Great.
L isn't something you want to kind of stick with your brand. So they went with the 50, and so the reason they do the Super Bowl is they said originally. So Pete Rozelle, one of the early commissioners, said it gave it grandeur and it made it special and bigger and that sort of thing. And going back to one of our previous episodes, one of the things you wanted to see was the Roman Colosseum. So this ties into all that and my Latin club heritage as well. So the Roman numerals, and it does, and it also brings it together because the season crosses over a calendar year. So it just kind of ties it together with what Super Bowl you're watching. And so I started looking back, and the one I remember, though, is so the next really big one would be Super Bowl 100, right? As we're kind of getting closer.
What's that letter? I don't recall.
It's a C.
Oh.
So with a $100 bill, what do you call a $100 bill? What's a
C note?
A C note.
Yeah.
So that's why the C going back. So again, there was that kind of thing going around a few months ago. It's like, how often do you think of the Roman Empire? And you had some people like, I think of it every day. I'm like, really? But there's definitely things that carry over to our culture where we do have expressions and we say things, and we may not think of the Roman Empire in particular, but it's part of it. And I did see Gladiator 2 recently. I really enjoyed it. I thought it was a good movie.
All right, you and Dave. All right, so I got a couple things to hop on here.
Let's hear it.
So I did not know. Did you already know the Roman numerals, or did you look that up?
No, I knew him from Latin class, and then just from being a kind of a sports nerd, kind of knowing a lot of them. Yeah,
that was my guess. Trying to make it grandiose and trying to, hey, this is different. I always like you get sometimes even guys that I played against or whatever. Like, yeah, he was there from 99 to 98 to 02, and it's like, well, that means he played in the spring of 90. So I like those numbers. There's never any discrepancy what Super Bowl number. So yeah. I like that a lot. And it's really, they've really done a great job of promoting it. I mean, you think about obviously the game in itself, but dude, there's not, I think there is kind of I feel like the main sport of your country, which is football now.
Yeah, absolutely.
It does echo kind of the culture of the country, right? A lot of countries are soccer, which feel kind of fake, right? You got people fumbling all over the place. You don't know when.
Flopping, not fumbling.
There's no fumbling. Yeah. I was like fumbling over themselves, but flopping.
Okay, yeah.
You don't know when the game ends because some referee / bureaucrat is making up when it's over. And now America, we got Doge in place. I feel like the football culture has kind of, twisted into, America, right? It kind of reflects America. And it is pretty cool that we get such a violent sport, right? It feels like we've kind of come full circle with sporting events. They've tried to make it safe. They've tried to do things to soften it. But it's still a physical feats of strength almost. And it's really cool. And there's obviously a lot of strategy. There's a lot of other things around it. But it really is fitting that football is the American culture. Consider, what the culture is overall. Now, the Eagles fans, I could do without. I could do without the Eagles fans.
They've kind of taken over the internet a little bit with a lot of different things and how they're, and not in a good way.
Yeah. You seem the worst though. I'm sure there's good ones somewhere, but
just kind of Philly fans in general. And I shared a few days ago, I went to that Philly game, 10, 12 years ago, whatever it was. And I had kind of that one experience when the guy kind of threatened the other guy a little bit, and from what I could see from a distance. But I remember listening to the radio show home as well. So I was fired up too. When you're in the area, you like to kind of get a feel for the local vibes.
Eat the food, drink the water.
Yeah, the local sports talk show was on the ride home, and you could just feel the misery and the pain.
Oh yeah,
and the overcommitment to investing in that game in particular and that team. And I was like, man, I care about a lot of things,
right?
But never something that. And that was like a week 10 regular season game. I mean, it was just like, oh geez, these guys are gonna have a rough week at work. I mean, this is gonna be terrible for them. So it was, yeah. So Philly fans, I think that's a big. I mean, I don't know. Even when they win, it doesn't feel good. Like it's like, something bad is gonna happen.
They're complaining about something. Yeah. Dude, you want fans like that, but you don't want to be around fans like that at time. Or I don't.
No, I don't want anything to do with that. So that was terrible.
So what was the second thing you mentioned, Paulie, there? You talked about the Roman numeral. You added on to something else. What was your second thought? Do you recall?
Well, so Brian and I were talking before we started recording here. And the other thing, so I'm down. Clearly, if you're watching on YouTube, I'm in my car right now because everybody in my family's sleeping in a hotel. So hotels have been a big part of my life.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
And there's a lot of different things. And again,
this is good.
Being in the minor leagues for 10 years, you start to pick up on some things and things you like, things you don't like in a hotel. And prior to, a lot of the internet and, ride sharing, that sort of thing, one of my biggest concerns is like, how close is a fast food restaurant? Where's somewhere I can walk to and get some food late at night? Because a lot of times those clubhouses weren't providing good food. And then now as you go, I'm not like a luxurious, 5-star hotel. We're at a Hampton Inn. Like, now it's like, oh, what kind of free breakfast can I get? How's the water pressure in the hotel? Do I have a bar of soap, or do they put those things on the wall where I got to squirt a million times to get some soap out to wash my body? So hotels are just.
I would say, Paulie, my number one, obviously outside of cleanliness, which is,
cleanliness is probably top. Yeah.
Yeah, you don't want to get eaten by anything while you're trying to sleep.
Yeah.
But my number two thing is the fan in the room, whether it's hot or cold. I need some background. I like background noise to sleep. And so I can't handle a rattle. And so this rattling noise fan situation, I can really beat to death one of those inside units if they're sitting there rattling as they're coming on and turning off.
Are you the guy that takes like the cover and starts looking and figuring it out, or do you call
No. I don't call anyone because my expectations are really low, especially at the times that I'm thinking about it. I'll just give it a nice little couple of kicks and see if I can't rattle something around. Not too aggressive. Maybe a shake of a frustration. I have been in hotels, one time in the minor leagues, and they were literally doing overnight row construction. And overnight row construction with a jackhammer and we were up all night. Dude. We were up from literally, I think they started at they started jackhammering at like 12 and they quit at 6. Dude, one of my worst experiences, 0 sleep. And
that's terrible.
The second thing is, usually you can do pretty good in this, is I got to have complete darkness. I don't like little dots I don't like any light in the room.
Were you a mask guy? Did you put a mask on?
I haven't done that. I would feel like I'm getting kidnapped, or maybe I would start having weird dreams and go to a different dimension or something. So I don't generally. My wife did get me one, and I haven't used it. I don't really know why. I don't like very.
It's weird to have that on your face. I think. I mean, I do wear a CPAP mask. I know what that's like, but just I don't know. There is something too. Like if I need to open my eyes and see, I think it's just weird having that on there.
Yeah, and generally I do wake up to light. I mean, my eyelids are pretty thin, and
Yeah.
so even when we're on traditional schedule, I was, when the sun's coming up in the morning time, which it usually does, right?
Most times,
That wakes me up. Yeah, yeah.
yeah. The other thing too, and this is a kind of a pandemic thing. I used to love leaving and then coming back and having my bed made, fresh towels, recharge the. They don't do that anymore.
No, no, no.
I got back last night. My bed's not made. I'm like, come on, man. That's the best part of this.
You sound like you may be a tuck guy. Are you a tuck? You like them tucked in real tight where you can't move your feet like a little cocoon?
I like to get in there, get under the tuck, and then just kick my legs around, get it nice and loose how I like it, and then get do whatever I need to do. Get a pillow between my knees and and head to Sleepy Town there. But
that's a different conversation. Hey, I'm an untucked guy. Like if I could give if I really made money and you go to these 5 stars and you kind of tell them, hey, how does Brian like his room set up? It would be.
He likes white roses and still water by his bedside.
I would take water for sure. I'd probably say some type of tobacco product, just not smoking, just smokeless, just around there. I like the aroma of tobacco, like an old Indian or something.
Like an incense with just tobacco.
Yeah. I do like it. I probably shouldn't say that. I've been to some tobacco factories in my modern day life, and they actually make me sick. There's so much.
That's not a great smell. I've been in there.
But no tuck, 100%, and cool. When I was going through minor leagues and even in college baseball, I was 50 degree under the cover, 55 degree, as cold as it could get. We were good enough athletes then that any kind of variance in temperature very few guys snored that I room with, my roommates. And so now, I'm sure I would sound like a train in there. But yeah, I like hotels. You definitely make a difference on your experience, whether you're going to see something, watching something, enjoying something, because sleep makes a difference.
I've stayed at some really nice ones as well. Like depending on how many kids and part of the family, we'll have like the living room and the whole thing. And we've done a lot of Airbnb as well, which I really, really prefer now. Because situations like this, if I need to go talk to somebody or whatever, I can just go to the living area or the extra room or whatever it is and not sit in my car. So that's a good route. I really enjoy the Airbnb as well.
Hey, Airbnb, I'm pretty convinced, like, there's a percentage, I don't know what that is, whether it's 5, 10, 3, 10, that has like those hidden cameras. Like I'm convinced there's a lot of weirdos out there. That's the only thing. Like when I go to an Airbnb, and we've been to a few, you're checking like who leaves a charger, and it looks weird. This smoke detector looks weird. I don't know. It definitely has made me more aware. I don't think anybody's trying to see me naked per se. Maybe. Depends on what kind of freak you are.
But probably maybe some other people in your family.
Yeah. So it is sometimes a concern, but I definitely prefer an Airbnb over.
I've seen the things where they're like monitors where you can like it senses where cameras are somehow.
I have not seen that.
It was something I saw on like Facebook, and I don't know how real that is, and so I think there probably are ways to detect such things. But again, I'm not super worried about that kind of stuff. But
no. I'm not really. Usually, I'm not doing anything in those.
Yeah, there's probably something to that for sure. Yeah. The other thing last night. So my daughter, we're still in South Carolina watching softball. They played the last game that we'll be able to see this weekend last night, and they were playing a school out of West Virginia. And so the game finished around 7:30, 8 in that kind of time frame. And they had their bus, like their big charter bus out there.
Mm-hmm.
And we were talking with some other parents of the team and like, oh, they're probably going back to the hotel and they'll sleep and they'll leave in the morning. And I don't know what their situation is, but it harkened me back to the minor league times as well. I was like, oh no, you hop on that bus and you ride for 6 hours and you get home at 4 a.m. and you sleep for a few hours and you get back and you go back to the yard and you do it again. And then it kind of brought back the flood of memories of like, oh, let's hop on the bus and And I had Don Money was my manager one year, former like Brewer third baseman, played for a couple other teams, and he loved the movie Independence Day, but he couldn't hear, so it was always turned up to like max volume. So you're sitting there on the bus, and even with your headphones on, listening to music or whatever,
You can still hear Independence Day.
like Will Smith and Jeff Goldblum are, saving the world and all that kind of stuff. And yeah, so but you think back all those memories on the buses, all the movies, and again, just being completely miserable at 2 a.m, hearing the loudest movie of all time, trying to sleep. You probably forgot your pillow or blanket, so it's freezing cold. You're trying to bundle up with just
I was
towels or something.
I was not taking anything with me. Like now, we'll go on a trip, dude, and my two girls and my wife will have their own personal pillow and blanket. It's like, dude, it's just something else to carry. It's like, dude, they got pillows and blankets in the hotel or in the Airbnb. We ain't got to take. But I was not a take pillow. I would say definitely survive. I would echo some of your feelings hearing that big diesel motor on the back of one of those buses. Just it does. It's almost like PTSD. You're like, all right, let's get through this. And yeah, dude, it is something to that, man. Too, it brings you back. Some little, and obviously I played in the Carolina League and played in the New York Penn League. And so a lot of times our bus trips, we were hitting like little gas stations as stops sometimes, especially late. So anytime I'm at a gas station late at night, I feel those kind of feelings. I'm going in there, get my snacks, which is usually some type of Slim Jim or beef jerky. I was never a soda guy, but a big bottle of water. It's still like when I go in those places at night, I still almost feel those instincts to grab that stuff.
Yeah, always. But most of always water is great. I was a big. I like pretzels for some, like pretzel rods.
Okay.
I enjoyed those, but yeah, I typically prepared pretty well for bus trips with batteries and snacks, that sort of thing, and my CD collection. I don't think I was a pillow guy, but I think I was like a jacket.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Definitely roll a jacket up.
Maybe
I like to survive with the stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, it was minimalist. Towards the end of my career, I on a road trip, like if it's a short one, I would just bring like almost like a grocery bag. I wouldn't even pack a bag. I would just whatever, because we had to wear collared shirts. So whatever shirt I wore, that would be like my road shirt. And because typically you just go out to lunch.
Yep.
And then you go to the field. You're not going anywhere. And I wasn't going out to like clubs and stuff like that, so I didn't care about any of that. And so I would bring like 2 pairs of underwear, and I would wear one and then rotate the other, and I would have the clubby wash it on my laundry loop.
I like that. That's a great
like
idea.
2 pair of socks, 2 pair of under for like 6 days or whatever it would be. Man,
well,
in a toiletry bag, right? So it's just living life.
Well, I would say now it is a bit different, right? You go to the same place and they stay for 6 days. I mean, that's a different. And on the flip side, dude, you're home for at least 6 days, right?
Yeah.
Which is pretty awesome too. I do think that changes some things because there is some adjustment period, especially back in the day. You have really nice colleges that was a lot better than low A or short season. Until you got back to double A. The situation as far as how you traveled and how you stayed in the fields typically were worse than what you had came from a college.
Yeah, low A, high A, rookie ball. Yeah, way worse than. So we actually got to see. So we're in Columbia. We actually got to see Columbia or University of South Carolina played their black and garnet game, and we didn't know what was going on. We were just kind of had some time to kill, so we were going to go see the stadium. And man, University of South Carolina's baseball stadium, beautiful, really nice.
On point.
Big scoreboard, lots of seating, big playground right field for the kid. My youngest was up there. Man, just a beautiful stadium, and you think to like this is legitimately nicer than most of the places that I played, or comparable to.
That's what I was going to say, Paulie. What would you compare it to? Probably what, AAA?
Yeah, it's like a AAA stadium. I get a AAA stadium that I would have played in. I think they're probably nicer now, but really nice. Double AAA stadium. Just good. It was pretty empty, right? There was couple scouts there watching. It looked like some family and friends kind of. It wasn't like a packed house by any means, but just man, just a beautiful stadium. And we went down and sat right behind the plate and watched some of the a couple innings of the game and then headed out. Actually, bumped into a scout who was a Brewers guy back in the like kind of late '90s, early 2000s, and he drafted, or he was the scout responsible for drafting a couple of my buddies with the Brewers organization. So it was kind of good and fun catching up with him. I didn't know him, hadn't met him before that, but catching up with him, and then there's another younger guy who graduated from Clemson was down there as well. So interesting.
Hey, I got a question. We talked about it for just a little bit yesterday, but talk about the guns and how literally the scout was saying, some of the stuff that we've implied and suspected in regards to the numbers.
So one of the pitchers for South Carolina was on the gun like 94 to 95. And I've sat at a lot of games from that angle, watched, right. And I was like, this doesn't look much different than
what you saw.
What I saw back in the day. And I didn't see that many guys on the gun throwing 95. Mm-hmm. And I asked him, I said, hey man, you've been around for 30 plus years. He's like, no, you add 3, 4, 5 miles an hour to the fastballs from the old Jugs or the Stalker Sport or whatever the gun was back then. He's like, it's not the same. So I was like, oh, because I was kind of like an 88 to 92 guy. So by that, I'm like a 94 to 96 guy, right?
Yeah.
So it's like, oh, okay, well, that because
it has not changed
I've seen a lot of guys throw it. It didn't look. And he got hit. The guy who was throwing harder actually got hit pretty good. So I was like,
that's what I was going to say. You mentioned that they had to turn the inning over, and he didn't make it through the inning.
Yeah, it didn't make it. Yeah, but again, it's maybe it's just more accurate. Maybe again, a lot of this stuff is maybe I'm just jealous that I didn't play in this era with better buses, better travel, better accommodations, better money. Guns making me look better, all these better nutrition, all this stuff, and it's good. I'm happy for all the young men who are playing minor league baseball now who get to take advantage of this. But looking back, it's like, well, that was, and we talked about it. It's kind of part of the memory, part of the nostalgia is staying in.
For sure.
The Lamplighter Inn in Visalia, California, and places like that.
Hey, taking it full circle back to today. Do you want to? Did we make a prediction already, or do you have somebody?
We talked. You were. Yeah, I don't think either of us felt very strongly. I'm calling a Chiefs victory. I'm saying Patrick Mahomes has the ball in his hands, needing to drive the team for a score, and Harrison Butker makes a kick to win the game. That's my call. I'm calling the Chiefs with a 2-point victory.
So you would take the Chiefs plus the 1 point that they're getting. Yeah. And I hate to be an echo chamber, but I think I'm just going there too, man. A very similar situation. I would see it. Honestly, the Chiefs defense is so underrated. Saquon's obviously hard to stop, but if you can stop him early and kind of get the Eagles out of what they don't want to do, which is throw early, I think the Eagles are going to have to throw early, open up the run, and then they can kind of mix it back up. But I do think it's you go quarterback and you go head coach as far as how you choose these games in the playoffs. And in both cases, you would pick Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid over Hurts. And so I would say I'm going that model, and we'll see what happens today. But dude, I'm stoked. Hey, when are you guys getting out of there? You guys having some breakfast?
Heading back. We're meeting the daughter for breakfast, and then we'll head back. So we'll get home in time to gear up, get some snacks made, and be ready to watch the game in the Super Bowl. So
hey, that's awesome, dude. So we got a scrimmage today, 2:00. So we got a little baseball scrimmage.
Okay.
And then we'll be
2:00 on Super Bowl Sunday. Come on, Coach.
I like it though. I like the commitment because I don't need any of the pregame stuff. I don't need 4 hours of watching them talk about stuff that doesn't affect the game. And
they
so
be watching the WrightStew Podcast anyway.
Absolutely, WrightStew. Catch up on the episodes. We need some big days. It's hard to get big days on Sunday when you got a lot of competition today, but we're going to be rolling, dude. I'm stoked.
Absolutely. So we'll come back at you tomorrow with kind of the recap, our takes on the Super Bowl, the actual game, the commercials, the halftime show, all things. We'll recap that tomorrow's Super Bowl. And be ready for our big segment, Athletes You Should Know, tomorrow. We got a fun one coming up. We're going to turn it back into baseball because baseball season's coming, buddy. So we got a really fun athlete to share with you tomorrow. So we appreciate you listening today. Make sure you click the subscribe button on all the podcasts, wherever you get it from, all the socials, all that sort of thing. And make sure you go out and share this with a friend, a loved one, somebody you think would enjoy this show. Somebody who you think might not enjoy it. Like, give it a shot. So we appreciate it. So thanks for listening today. Appreciate it.
Out. Go back.